Hello, this is Brian. Today is Tuesday, October 17th, 2023, and I'm just north of Mission Trails Regional Park on an old dirt road access, just north of Highway 52. You can probably hear in the background. Today I want to do a second ode video to Laurel Sumac. I've come across some pretty nice specimens here in the area, but I want to focus a lot of my attention on this particular one here. This is a pretty big Laurel Sumac right here. So we're looking at Malosma laurina, a medium to very large evergreen shrub in the Cashew family, Anacardiaceae, and is a close relative of the true sumacs in the genus Rus. It used to be known as Rus laurina before further research on this plant deemed it to be, yes, closely related to Rus, the true sumacs, but just enough distance in relationship to merit its own genus, Malosma, which is Greek for apple smell. Malosma, osma is smell, and mal comes from Greek for apple. And on warm days, the scent of this plant can be likened to apples. I just look at it as kind of a very pungent woodsy aroma. But I want to just take some time to appreciate the architecture of this Laurel Sumac here. Now, we do get some pretty large specimens here in lower canyon bottoms, sometimes near ravines. And then the ones that tend to be up higher on the hillsides usually tend to be smaller and scrubbier. But no, we got these large ones down here where the soil profile allows its roots to go even deeper. Just look at this. And I love the somewhat taco-shaped leaves. Some people call this taco bush or taco tree. And that aids in helping water drip down the leaves and water the roots even more when it rains or there's fog drip. And it also helps retard excessive water loss, because of the orientation of its leaves, minimizes the excessive sun exposure. These plants can grow in relatively mesic areas like this, near a riparian section, under sycamores and oaks, but these also grow out in chaparral and even drier areas like coastal sage scrub. But it is a magnificently architectured plant when it's allowed to grow to its potential size. And it does have the potential to occasionally exceed 20 feet in height. This one here is probably closer to 15, I'm guessing. But one thing I like to appreciate about Laurel Sumac is its beautiful thicket-forming trunks. And we've got a lot of decent-sized ones here. Some of these trunks are about 6-7 inches wide. So this is pretty decent. This is more of a shrub than a tree, so we're not expecting a 15-foot diameter. But underneath there lies a pretty big root system that allows the plant to resprout after being cut back, being burnt by fire, or frostbitten by cold, as the above ground tissues are very sensitive to temperatures below 30 degrees, which will cause the upper branches and leaves to die. However, the parts of the branches that survived and the root system will send up new growth the following spring after that winter chill. So this plant was basically used for where the most favorable places for citrus and avocado crops were grown. So we got to take time to appreciate that. Farmers use this plant to figure where we're going to plant our stuff. Because a lot of those orchards are very cold sensitive. But yes, and then of course in the summertime we get these panicles. That's a roughly conical flower inflorescence, or flower cluster, of small white 5-petal flowers, which after they're pollinated turn into these really tiny drupes. Really tiny, kind of rounded drupes. very characteristic of Anacardiaceae. But, and this plant is pretty much a Southern California, Northern Baja endemic. Basically growing from coast to lower elevation foothills, mostly below 4,000 feet. From Santa Barbara County down to Baja, California. So here in Southern California, once you get above Point Conception, you're really not going to see this anymore, pretty much. Just appreciate, look at the new leaves that are coming out, all red. So it might remind you of a mango. And mango is another Anacardiaceae member. Mangifera indica is a relative of this plant. But just look at that architecture, that beautiful form. What a beautiful, beautiful large shrub this is. So let me get a couple pictures of this, and then on my way over here, I got a few pictures of this beautiful shrub. So when we see this shrub, your best areas to see it get really large again are in low-lying areas that have a deeper soil profile. This deeper soil profile is evident due to the presence of California sycamores and willows. And then again, these can grow on very dry, south-facing sunny slopes. In fact, all those shrubs there on that hillside there, those are all Laurel Sumacs. Much smaller than these, albeit not very small actually, but they tend to be a little bit smaller on the more sunny side. On this side, those are pretty much all Laurel Sumacs too, all those larger shrubs in the coastal sage scrub. So they do grow on some very exposed areas, and then they grow deep down in these canyons, sometimes in the understory of oaks and sycamores and willows, where they tend to be a lot leggier and less dense. But sometimes they can get very tall and large too, though. So this one's not completely in the shade of the sycamore. So it allows this one to get that nice, beautiful round shape that Laurel Sumac often assumes when able to grow to its potential. So I gotta admit, this is a magnificent specimen. And I'm going to go over to this one over here. Go check out this one over here real quickly. It's a much smaller one. Yeah, we've got this smaller, yet no less beautiful specimen. Very beautiful plant. Now, as a note of caution, people with very sensitive skin who might be allergic to plants like mangoes, touching the leaves of mangoes and stuff like that, do have a risk of getting a skin rash after contact with Malosma laurina. But it doesn't have that same urushiol that poison oak, poison ivy, and poison sumac have. So if you're pretty sensitive to essential oils on plants, especially like mangoes and stuff like that, then yes, I would definitely exercise some care, some caution while hiking where this plant is. Maybe wear long sleeves. Now I noticed this one has flowers on it. Usually by this time, the flowers are gone. But we did have a tropical storm blow through here and dump copious amounts of rain. And it seemed to re-trigger some of these more spring and early summer blooming plants to flower again. And I've noticed that even at 5,000-6,000 feet in the Laguna Mountain, some of the Ceanothus species are blooming. But that's what the flowers look like on Laurel Sumac. So I guess this could be kind of like not only an ode video, but a little bit of a spotlight update. There's the panicle of white flowers. There's the panicle of flowers as they are dying off and starting to turn into the fruits. So yes, Laurel Sumac covers a lot of real estate here in lowland Southern California. Again, common on these south-facing slopes in coastal sage scrub. As you can see, they're all growing along here, and they're not really that small, but they tend to be smaller than they would be if you find them in these lower, deeper soil profile areas. So coastal sage scrub, and they also grow very well in low elevation chaparral. The highest I've ever seen Laurel Sumac is about 3,950 feet, just under 4,000 feet in the Santa Ana Mountains in Orange County along Main Divide Truck Trail north of Los Pinos Saddle. But yeah, so I'm going to go over towards one more small one, and then we'll go ahead and end this little spotlight update. This is the actual spotlight video I recorded was back in October, actually on this date in 2019, so exactly 4 years ago I recorded a spotlight for this. So let's end this video just on a nice reflective, appreciative mood for such a really cool California native that could be amenable to cultivation. Now, I've never tried growing Laurel Sumac before, and it seems like the propagation methods for this plant would be pretty complicated because I believe it requires that the seed be scarified in order to allow it to be germinable. I don't know if that's 100% gonna have to be the case, but what I would probably do is, from what I've read, is you're supposed to oven bake them. I don't know, is it 425 degrees or something? I'm reading a book about propagating California native plants that suggests oven baking them for a period of time. I don't know the specifics, but I'm guessing to try to use heat treatment to scarify the seeds, because the seeds are kind of like hard little things that are in these little drupes. So I imagine they probably would benefit from some scarification, but I would read up a little bit further about that. But there you have it, beautiful Laurel Sumac, Malosma laurina. And yes, this is my second ode video to this plant. And sometimes I find it necessary when I see a specimen, I feel the need to document. And found some good specimens right here. Of course, our big one center stage right there. So that's it, Malosma laurina. Thanks for watching my ode video, and I'll see you on the next one.